Hello all, I wanted to introduce you to the Blackboard page that we'll be using for microbiology this semester. I have this in student preview mode, so this is exactly what you will see when you go into the Blackboard site. Um, what I'm going to do is just walk you through the general layout of this and introduce you to some of the features that we'll be using throughout the semester. First, I'd like to direct you to this banner over on the left-hand side. You'll see that the announcements will always come first, and I'll be using this as our primary form of communication throughout the semester. So do be sure to check in on these announcements regularly. If you'd like to know a little bit more about me or my reasons for coming here to Edgewood, you can find that under the Welcome page. In Course Basics, you'll find the syllabus for the semester as well as my hours for the semester, when I have classes, when I have meetings, when open office hours are to be had. Next, you'll find other instructor information such as my information, the information of our second instructor or lab manager, John Edmondson, and then our course coach or tutors that we have assigned particularly to this course. Under due dates, you'll see the typical calendar, and if you were to look at this in your mode, what you'll find is that this is going to auto-populate with due dates for different assignments throughout the semester. I've organized it in this way so that you can have the updates to when assignments are due directly onto Blackboard. This also allows me to change due dates and for those to be reflected directly in this calendar as well. Also, you'll find the tab for my grades, and then we'll come back to this MHSCI sometime later on in the semester. Next, in the tabs here are the different units that we'll be covering throughout the semester. You'll see that we have 4 different units. Each correlates with a particular test and also with a particular subject area. I also have a weekly review tab and a lab tab. Let me introduce you to some of the general features within these individual tabs though. What you're first going to find is that this is broken down by each of the individual lessons that we'll be covering within a unit. You'll also see that there are unit questions and practice exams for you to practice with the material. If I were to click on one of these, for example, macromolecules lesson 1, which is the first one we are covering in class this semester, you're going to find a table of contents on the left-hand side over here, and you're going to see this general format for each of the lectures that we covered throughout the semester. First are a list of objectives that you should be able to do or complete at the end of the lesson. Next are the reading assignment based on the book. Third, will take you directly to VoiceThread, which I'm not going to be able to get to right now because I have this in student presentation mode, but these VoiceThreads will be individualized lectures or mini lectures that will introduce you to the basic concepts. And this can replace the reading if you would prefer to receive your information by audio and visual means rather than by read-write means. Below that is going to be a link that's directly going to download the slides that are found within the mini lecture, and in addition, any additional slides that I will be using to throughout the lecture in class. Next are a list of terms that you should be able to define, or better yet, be able to use correctly in conversation. You'll find a list of 3 to 4 guiding questions, and these questions are really meant to be completed before you come to class, and if you're unable to answer them, these are questions that we should address first thing when you get into class on the day that we'll be discussing this lecture. You're going to notice the numbers on here actually correlate back to the original objectives. So for example, this first question here, what are some properties of hydrophilic and hydrophobic molecules, is a question that allows you to test your understanding or your ability to compare and contrast hydrophilic and hydrophobic molecules. This is a good way to know whether you are on the right track coming into lecture and whether you'll be able to complete those objectives or not. Again, these should be completed or worked with before lecture begins. Next, you're going to find either a tab or a folder that takes you to a homework assignment, and we will have a homework assignment for each of our individual lectures throughout the semester. Homework assignments will either be graded based on your understanding of the content, or will be based, excuse me, will be graded based on participation, but you will not know ahead of time how that grading will be performed. So it would be in your best interest to complete the assignment to the best of your ability. Assignments can be individual journals, group wikis, which you're working with a group to solve a problem, or might be putting together a voice thread, which we'll talk about in class. And then finally, after a lecture has been completed, you'll take a look at these review questions, and these questions are really designed to test your ability to, again, determine, have you achieved the objectives? The goal is that at the end of each of our lectures, you'll be able to answer these review questions. In the future, you may find that some of these review questions will have below them lists of additional questions known as good, better, or best questions, in which I will provide some answers of good responses, better responses, or really great responses, or the best responses to those questions. And this may help you as you begin to prepare for exams. I next want to show you, take you to the weekly review tab and just quickly say that each week, at least a couple of you will be preparing some slides and putting together an audiovisual presentation to share with the class of what we've covered that week in lecture. I'll do the first one as an example, but then have you working in groups for the remainder of the semester with that. And then finally, in the lab tab, you will find all the information related to lab, including the manual, both in a PDF and document version. Please do feel free to download these. These will be available in the lab, but you should have a copy downloaded for yourself as well so that you can read the labs ahead of time. There is a safety policy and a safety contract, which we will talk about in lab. And then you will find in the rest below this, as we go throughout the semester, individual assignments will pop up for you to upload onto Blackboard. I've also want to point out real quick that there are links to group wikis and to the individual journals, so you can get to these through these links right here. You may have to, or you may be able to also get to these links through clicking on the assignments within these individual lectures or lessons. And finally, at the bottom, you can email myself or other members of the class. Here are Blackboard tools and help for Blackboard, and finally, a list of tutorials, which is going to take you to this page here. And I have listed some general information on communicating online in microbiology, my thoughts on wikis, blogs, journals, voice threads, and screencasts, which are all different methods of media that we'll use throughout the semester. Some general comments on online etiquette, how to communicate with other class members online. If you'd like to create a meeting with me on Office 365 Calendar, you can watch this video just by clicking on the link. And then there are some additional videos on how to communicate in VoiceThread, adding slides to VoiceThread, etc. And I will add to this list of tutorials as need be throughout the semester as a way to introduce you to some topics that we may not necessarily have time to discuss in class, or things that I can provide to help you navigate the technology that we use within this class. Thanks again for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at zpratt@edgewood.edu. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of you in class. Take care.